All right, good afternoon and welcome to the marketing studio here at Lictzen RV, where we're literally only 1 mile north of the Winnebago, Itasca, and Winnebago Touring Coach Division of Winnebago Industries right here in Forest City, Iowa. I want to welcome each of you to today's live monthly webcast in which we're going to cover a maintenance item and also some aspects of your warranty on the proprietary quality advantage that Winnebago has had for over 50 years, which is their seamless one-piece crowned, interlapped, and interlocked fiberglass roof. As always, we're going to take your questions live through the chat feature, which you can actually see on the right-hand corner of your screen. You'll actually see two tabs. You'll see a video tab and then also a blue chat tab. If you click on that chat tab, we're going to cover your questions live as we go through maintenance on your one-piece fiberglass roof of your Winnebago Itasca product. I have a few special guests with us today. I want to welcome Jeffrey Short. He's our Marketing and Special Events Director behind the scenes. And also Brian Buffington. Brian is our Service Director here at Lictzen RV and comes to us with just an incredible amount of RV industry knowledge and experience. Brian, how many total years of RV experience do you have?
Around 15.
So about 15 years of RV experience. Brian actually leads our fixed operations, our service department here at Lictzen RV, where we just recently completed our expansion of additional service facilities for you, our guests. So again, take all of your questions and put them into the chat box. That's what makes these so interactive for each and every one of you and has really proven to be the success of our live interactive presentations with respect to this webcast. Also, I just want to remind you that we can actually do this type of a one-on-one interactive presentation appointment on any of our in-stock RVs in the convenience of your own home or office. We can actually conference in a spouse, a partner, a relative for a great three-way dialogue in terms of trying to present to you that RV that you're looking at. We can do it live from the comfort of your own home or office. So today's maintenance topic is that of roof maintenance. Now, for those of you that purchased your Winnebago Itasca or Winnebago Touring Coach new, what you actually receive at the time of purchase is a 10-year roof warranty on your coach. Now that does come with a little bit of maintenance that is required, and it is required to fulfill the obligations under that roof warranty. The first of which, you do have to have an annual roof sealant inspection completed. Now that annual roof sealant inspection can be completed by yourself so long as you document it. It can be done by any authorized repair center. A good helpful hint is any dealer worth their weight in gold will do this for you complimentary at no charge. So we've assimilated our same service as with Winnebago Industries here in Forest City. Anytime you take your RV to Lictzen RV here in Forest City, we're actually going to do a complimentary roof sealant inspection, that annual inspection that's required for that 10-year warranty. We're going to do that for you at no charge. Obviously, Brian and Jeffrey and I are kind of braving the elements here today, and we're not actually harnessed in the full fall protection, but all of our technicians have factory fall protection built right into their individual bays, and so that'll allow them to stay safe. We also have motorized scissors lifts in which we can do that roof cove maintenance as well as all the roof penetrations for you, and we do that for you at no charge. We do that to keep you, our guests, safe and off of that roof. But again, that is required under the terms of your 10-year roof warranty that you receive from Winnebago Industries when you do purchase your RV new. So what we thought today we would do is we're going to use a couple of different tools. We're actually atop today a 2001 Winnebago Adventurer 35U. It's one of our pre-owned RVs that we have actually not done the pre-delivery inspection for yet. And prior to us starting, Brian already identified a couple of roof cove voids that we're going to take care of as part of our pre-delivery inspection. So again, this just recently came in on trade. It's a 2001 Winnebago Adventurer. One question that we get periodically from guests is it safe to walk on the roof? And how many bodies can you have up on the roof? Well, right now we actually have 3, and we're not the tiniest of individuals, so it's perfectly safe. Again, that one-piece fiberglass roof. So Brian has a cutaway of the roof. Also, some of the tools we're going to cover primarily 2 different aspects. One, this being a 2001 Adventurer that does not have full-body paint, which is that automotive base coat, clear coat finish. And then secondly, we'll also cover that for an RV that does actually have full body paint that comes over the roof cove of your RV. So again, I want to welcome all of you. Please be sure to chat in your questions live. And Brian, I'm going to turn the baton back over to you.
Okay. First, I guess we'll start out with the roof cutaway display that we have. And what we look at all of our sealant inspections is how this one-piece roof tucks into the awning rail that runs along both sides of the motorhome. It's very important to look at the sealant that Winnebago has installed right along this groove right here. And that's something I'll show you a little bit on the coach that we're standing on right now. But the importance of this is obviously water penetration into your RV. The other problem is that this sealant also acts as a adhesive that actually holds this flap tucked into that rail. If you don't have this, if this adhesive is let loose and the sealants have let loose, what can happen is wind can get under there and it can pop your roof cove up, and we've seen it where it has actually damaged parts of that roof by peeling away some of this fiberglass after the wind's gotten caught under that.
So, and then just to summarize, what Brian's actually looking at is this is that laminated fiberglass roof, again with interlocking joints into that cove.
Okay. So what Winnebago does when they install this one-piece roof is they lay the roof on top of the RV and they tuck this cove right down in like that, and then your sealant is injected right into this railing all the way along the full length of your roof. Now this sealant, this product, is Manus Bond. It's what's used on this particular roof, which is not the full body paint. It's the only thing we use here. It's what Winnebago installs from the factory. I would highly recommend putting in the same sealant back in.
So again, that's a Manus Bond. It's a 75-AM model. We offer that here at our dealership. We can ship it out to you. Again, that's what Winnebago Industries utilizes, and that's also what we would utilize on an RV that does not have full body automotive paint. And again, that's used right in the cove along with those interlocking joints. So even though we talk about Winnebago having that one-piece seamless crowned, interlapped, and interlocked fiberglass roof, this is actually the penetration point that we're inspecting for in terms of those voids that we talk about in terms of how to fill those. So maybe, Brian, the next logical point then would be if somebody wanted to do that on their own, how would they actually fill that void?
First thing is cleaning and preparation. I can show you on this coach here later, but you need to get in there and clean out all the old sealant. Get all of that cleaned out, and then before you apply, we use a product called Acrosol. It's a basic solvent, great for cleaning up residues. Get all that dirt and debris cleaned out of there so that you have a nice good bond with your adhesive that you're going to put in. And then the key is when you're applying it, you'll need a caulk gun, and you'll need, probably, if you're going to redo both sides, you'll need 4 or 5 tubes of this. And what you do is, once you clean this out, as you're putting the sealant down in, it's really important to not just lay it on top. And we call that a cap seal, which is just going between this point and this point. You don't get a lot of bonding there. All you're doing is you're just skimming over the top. What we do is we recommend getting down in there so you're separating this roof cove a little bit and you're squeezing that down into that channel. And as you're squeezing down, when you let up, this fiberglass naturally pushes back on that awning rail and the excess will come up, and that's what you can tool off with your finger and make that nice, good looking seal there. And now we have more than just a cap seal. We have sealant down in there which is going to hold that fiberglass, and that's about as good as you can get it.
So then just to kind of reiterate what Brian talked about, as this roof cove comes down, it naturally will flex back up against the awning rail and be that compression that you need to get that good seal with that silicone. And then very simply bringing it back over with your finger will provide a nice finished look, but also provide a little bit more protection. And again, that's on a non-full body base coat, clear coat automotive finish, again utilizing that Manus Bond sealant.
Okay, and if you do have, I guess we can just go to full body paint, which is very similar.
And then as we do that, we had a request from a guest, Jeffrey, if you could we pull the camera from the tripod and actually show that real quickly? Again, one of the great things of this type of a webcast is we can cover all of your questions live. So again, we're going to go ahead and have Jeffrey kind of zoom in here. This is a cutaway that we have in our dealership, and you can actually see the flex point for that cove.
So again, when you're, when we're squirting that down in there, you want to make sure we're getting down in that groove and not just going along here. It's a common mistake we see on either people who have done it themselves or they've had someone do it for them, is that they just seal over the top. You want to push down in, and you can see this as it pops back up, push back, and that will squirt out all that extra silicone. And then you just tool it off with your finger.
And that's actually okay, what Brian just talked about, pushing back in there. Don't feel like you're going to flex that too much. That's what's going to give that good compression right back up against that awning rail. Brian, we also did just have a guest chat in a question. We're on a 2001 Adventurer right now, but the question was, how many years has Winnebago been utilizing the fiberglass roof, and is it the same type of construction in this guest's 2010 Winnebago Adventurer? And I'll just cover the first part of that. Winnebago has actually been utilizing a one-piece fiberglass roof in nearly all of their RVs for over 50 years, and it's been a proprietary quality advantage that we've always hung our hat on. It provides the least amount of opportunity for penetration of having water actually infiltrate your RV. And in terms of the 2010 Winnebago Adventurer, it's going to be identical to this. However, as we lead into the second part of this webcast today, in your 2010 Adventurer, you'll have full body paint. So that's an automotive base coat, clear coat finish that Brian's going to cover next, utilizing a slightly different product. So again, that was Manus Bond if your coach has standard high gloss gel coat.
So same thing, if you have the full body paint like Ron was just saying, this is the sealant that Winnebago uses. We stock it here, can ship it out to you as well. It is a clear silicone. It stays very flexible, which is needed for the roofs, and the same thing applies when you're doing this. The only difference with this type of sealant is it stays very pliable, so when you are getting ready to remove it, it actually does just kind of pull out once you get it started, and you can just kind of work it out and pull it out, and it's
So what Brian's referring to there is actually the removal of the old silicone. And what we're referring to there is the fact that when that type of sealant that we utilize, it'll actually come in sections and in pieces, and then you can actually cut it if you want to stop at that certain point. It's a lot easier to remove. It's still a good idea, though, to continue to utilize some type of a solvent cleaner such as Acrosol. Again, Acrosol is just a brand that we use here. Any type of a solvent cleaner can be utilized. Clean that up real good. Make sure that it's dry before you actually put down that next bead of silicone.
Yep, and if you don't have good access, any auto parts store would sell a solvent similar to that. Acrosol is pretty widely known across the United States. If you don't have access to any of that, you clean it really well. Rubbing alcohol is always a good solution too to cleaning the surface.
And what Brian's holding right now is nothing that we're trying to sell you. We're just trying to provide value for you. This can be picked up at Home Depot, Lowe's, really just about anywhere. I believe that's a stone masonry brand, right?
Yeah.
Just gutter and siding sealant, but it's clear and it's a lot more pliable than what we typically use with that Manus Bond.
And so with anyone that owns a motor home, there's a sealant call-out guide that we can help you with if you call into parts or service, and we can show you where that's at, and we can tell you exactly what Winnebago used on your roof. And so we want to make sure that we really stick with that product, because a lot of times silicones don't like sticking to other silicones. Adhesives don't like sticking to other adhesives, so you want to make sure you're using the same stuff. And I think that's another very important point that we've seen commonly not taken well, is that they'll use a different type of silicone over something Winnebago's installed, and it just peels right up when we're doing our sealant inspection. So you want to stay with the same sealant.
And utilizing the same sealant is a really good lead into the next question that a guest had chatting in, wanting to know if the clear silicone sealant is much easier to use. Why wouldn't we just replace the Manus Bond with a clear silicone sealant? And Brian touched on that a little bit, not trying to mix the sealants. But also, if you have a non-full body paint finish that may be white over the cove, Winnebago chooses to use that white Manus Bond in terms of a sealant rather than utilizing the clear silicone sealant. But that's a great question, and again, keep your questions coming in live. If there's more value that we can add, be certain to drop your question into that chat box on the right-hand side of your page. So one thing that I thought we'd cover as a third item, Brian, and I'm going to catch you off guard with this, and Jeffrey, you may just kind of want to zoom down on this. covering the types of silicone for roof penetration. So obviously here in this 35U, we're right over the oversized bath in one. This is the skylight for the 35U, and you can see these types of silicone that's utilized for each of the adhesion points where they penetrated the roof for the skylight. Just behind there we have one of the sewer vents, and then just behind there we actually have the 12-volt powered ventilator fan. So Brian, maybe if you could just touch on that and whether or not those sealants are any different than a Manus bond, and if there is any other type of a sealant that might be utilized on this as an example for this adventure.
Okay, this is the actual sealant that we're looking at right here, and you can kind of tell, you can see it's very pliable, stays nice and soft. Winnebago has used this for years. It cleans up pretty well too, and they have used this for as long as I've known that they've been doing the one-piece roofs. And it's a self-leveling joint sealant made by Newflex. Again, it's also Winnebago part numbered. It's specific to the Winnebago roof. And with this, it kind of looks like it is oozed out and you know, not a steady bead, but that's because it self-levels. When you inject this out of a caulk gun, it does just kind of naturally flow to give it a nice, good coverage point.
And so just to reiterate what Brian had actually said earlier, if you go to our website on our parts page, there is a link to the Winnebago call-out sheets for each of the sealants that are utilized for the roof penetration specific to your RV. This is a different type of a silicone sealant that's utilized over the skylight, which then leads into the next question from one of our guests is, Brian, how would you be able to tell on this skylight if the sealant needs to be replaced, just by looking at the voids, or is there anything else that you should be looking at?
One thing I instantly look for is color differences. If you can zoom in on this, Jeffrey, first thing that caught my eye on this is I could see a dark line around this where you can't necessarily see that right here. That dark line is water and debris and everything that's been collecting, and so it's a very easy indicator that there's a void there. And if you look at this, there is actually a void.
Wow.
And so
that's a really good demonstration, because you can see that.
It's kind of a telltale of looking at it is you look at dark areas, you look at areas that have been collecting that. Here's another dark area. I can see it's pretty dark right up off the front. If I look at that, I can peel that back and you can see that that's actually a void there. Now Winnebago always puts adhesives underneath of this before they stick it to the roof, but this can actually collect water, and if there's any sort of a imperfection in that seal that goes under this roof cap or under this skylight, that water will collect under this sealant because it's trapped in there, and it will find its way in eventually.
So that's a really good point, and just as a side point, one of the things that each of you need to understand as guests of our dealership and guests of Winnebago Industries is this skylight is one of the critical areas, and it seems like one of the most opportune areas that we actually see infiltration into water. And if we ever look at your RV in terms of a trade-in, this will be one of the things that we'll be looking at, is for any discoloration in either the polypropylene fabric or the vinyl padded ceiling, to see any separation to determine whether or not there has been any water penetration in the skylight area. It seems like the skylight area, and then also it tends to seem to be the four corners of the RV where we tend to see the highest amount of water penetration. So, you know, really pay a lot of attention to your skylight areas and obviously the roof coves. Let's transition then into another question from one of our guests. I've been up on my roof, the sealant is very dirty. What's the best way to clean the sealant, Brian?
The best way to clean it is with any RV roof cleaner, mild soap, mild detergent, water, and it will clean up. Acrosol also works pretty good for that. I can do a little bit here, and you can see that this will clean right up if you need to look at it a little bit. I don't have a rag up here with me today, but
he's not afraid to get dirty.
But just a little bit of a scrubbing on something like that, and as that dries off, you can see it does clean that right up. It's always going to look a little bit weathered because it's been on your roof, but that Acrosol works pretty well. But mild soap and water and some scrubbing will do the same thing, and it'll clean that up so you can inspect it a little bit easier. But if you're up on your roof, just again, you're adding water and stuff like that, you need to be careful because it gets pretty slippery.
Water over fiberglass does tend to get very slippery, so if you choose to do this on your own, again, just be very, very careful. All of our technicians utilize fall protection where they're harnessed in to literally the roof of our facility here. So just be careful with that. But again, remember, it does need to be done once per year in accordance with that 10-year warranty that you have on your roof. Brian, another great question that just came in. A guest has utilized butyl tape on their boat, wanting to know if that can be a good replacement for their Winnebago RV.
Butyl tape is not a good replacement for a surface type application like the self-leveling down here. Butyl tape, unless you're talking about like an Eternabond type tape, and maybe that's what you're referencing, that does work pretty well, but then you see the tape, you know, so only in a temporary type situation would I recommend the butyl tape, and it's mainly because of looks, I think, more than anything.
But it's also kind of a tight fit if you're trying to get that tape, you know, if Brian's referring to an Eternabond, because not utilizing a butyl tape, it's pretty tough to get a real good surface here and then also actually on the laminated fiberglass roof. You don't want to stop the flow of water within your awning rail. And so it's tough to get a real good contact point because the top of that awning rail is literally probably only, about a 1/4 of an inch. So it's difficult to utilize that as a contact point, but again, not utilizing butyl tape, but potentially using an Eternabond. But sticking with what Winnebago has designed the roof for, whether it be a Manasbond or a clear silicone sealant, tends to be the best way to go. What else would you like to show us up here, Brian?
Since Jeffrey's got it off of the stand, I would like to show you, we'll go over the slide-out roof, that way everybody's a little bit safer.
Because you think that 30 inches is going to keep...
I think that might at least stop.
This is not our fall protection, by the way.
It might slow us down. So, one big important part of looking at your roof codes, and we're doing inspections, and you can see this one, I don't know if you can tell just by looking at it, by looking for that dirt line that I was telling you about, but this is all open. And so when we kind of look at it, and if we suspect that there might be something there, what we do is we push on it. And you can see that this is wide open. And it's wide open the full length of the coach. Now Winnebago, in this rail, on the bottom side and the front and the back, have drilled there is a hole there that will let water come out. But again, the danger with this is water penetration still, if that was to clog up. Because obviously with the roof cove that's this open, you're going to get a lot of debris that runs down in there, and those drains can clog, just like your downspouts on your home. And you know, then the gutter doesn't work. So keeping this sealed is very important. And the other big threat with the cove that's open this much would be a wind gust catching it and popping this out, and it will tear your roof, your nice fiberglass one-piece roof back quite a ways. So this is...
And we've seen that happen.
And we've seen that happen, and it's a very costly repair. So this roof cove is, I guess, the only other thing I wanted to show you, and kind of how to inspect for that.
So again, just to recap, because we've had some really great questions today, really two different types of cove sealant, whether it be the Manasbond or being the clear silicone sealant, but then also going to those sealant call-out sheets, which are on our parts page on litzen.com, that are specific to your year, make, and model of Winnebago Itasca RV. So really had some great questions today, and I want to thank Brian for joining us today to take time out of his schedule from leading our crew as we service all of the coaches that come into Lictzen RV. Again, thank you for joining us today. We will archive this webcast. It'll be on our video library on litzen.com, where we literally have hundreds of videos that are similar to this to provide value in not only maintaining your RV, but to get the most out of utilizing the RV. Again, I want to thank Jeffrey behind the scenes with our camera today. And again, thank you for joining us for our live monthly webcast today on Roof Cove Maintenance for your Winnebago Itasca or Winnebago Touring Coach, where we're located here inside our studio, only 1 mile north of the Winnebago Itasca and Winnebago Touring Coach division of Winnebago Industries, right here in Forest City, Iowa. Again, if there's anything that you want to see that we actually have in stock, we can actually do this right on the fly from the comfort of your own home or office. you very simply go to litzen.com/TV. One of our factory trained consultants will be mic'd in, and we can literally do an interactive presentation with you on any of our in-stock RVs from anywhere in the world. So as we wrap up today, I'm just going to have Jeffrey kind of pan top to bottom on the cutaway version here of the Roof Cove. And again, thank you for joining us today here at Lictzen RV.